You're listening to episode 68 of Lifestyle Locker Radio with Jen Cronin.
Exactly. I mean, really, that's at the fundamental core of everything. If you're not healthy, and health is, all different aspects, that's really where it starts. Is if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else, and you can't be productive and live a great life.
Hi, I'm Dr. Josh Hen, and welcome to the Lifestyle Locker Radio, where we dive into what makes an awesome lifestyle. From relationships to money mindset, nutrition to fitness, emotional health to peak performance, we bring you on an amazing journey to unleashing your human potential. A little bit about our guest today. Dr. Jen Cronin is a transformational leader, a healer, motivational speaker, and author that helps women and all daughters learn the power of self-love by overcoming challenges, finding their own voice, and believing that they matter. It is through her own difficult journey as a dutiful daughter and struggling to know her own worth that she's able to support and guide other daughters to avoid many pitfalls and to find the courage to overcome them. As a lifestyle and functional medicine physician, Dr. Jen also teaches women about self-care and making your health the number one priority so that you can live your best life, have more to give to others, and to lead by example. She has her own podcast on iTunes called Raising Health that features women's health experts and her own brand of unconventional and unapologetic soulful wisdom. Make sure you do connect with her on social media, which we're going to give some details on the way out of the podcast. So here's Dr. Jen. Okay, everyone, in the locker room today, we have Dr. Jen. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Josh. It's so fun to be here with you.
I'm very excited. I like our little pre-show talk. You're a really cool person. Just, looking at your bio and actually having you in person in front of me here. Well, not in person, but, via Skype. I think this is really neat. I think you're someone that practices what they preach. And what I love hearing reading when I see someone's bio and learn a little bit more about them is that, you're a woman that is empowering women. I mean, what a better time in the world, right? Day and age to do this. So
that's right.
Right? I think it's really cool.
I'm a true feminist.
Yeah.
Not in every area.
But you know what? It's you're a powerful woman, helping create power with other women, and you're doing that by helping them transform their health and their life, because I don't think you can be a powerful woman unless you are a healthy person, right? Because your energy is definitely going to be low.
Exactly. I mean, really, that's at the fundamental core of everything. If you're not healthy, and health is, all different aspects, that's really where it starts. Is if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else, and you can't be productive and live a great life. That's
so true. So, let's hear your story. Looking at your website, we're going to point people there. But man, I was going through and looking at you said not so long, or was it just a very long story about you? It was really cool. And I get to the bottom and it's like, holy moly, look at everything she has done, accomplished. I mean, you don't need to go through every single detail, but I'd love to know your transition from, traditional medicine to more natural medicine to getting into lifestyle, which I absolutely love, hence Lifestyle Locker. So let's hear your story.
Okay. And I'll try to make this concise, because if, when you read that, you're probably like, whoa, what's going on? And, I think that that's one of the big messages I have for people is that, when you're in your story and it's unfolding, sometimes you don't know, really what it means. And so when things come full circle, it's this really magical kind of moment. And so, that's kind of my story. Growing up, I was always interested in athletics, and so physical exercise and activity, nutrition. I thought I was a healthy eater. That was the fat-free days and everything. Mm-hmm. So it's been a lot of re-education around, what is actually a healthy, nutritious diet and good for the body. But I was also very interested from early on in learning about the body and how the body works. Mechanics to the physiology and everything. So I remember in high school when we were doing community service projects and everybody was working at the kindergarten, working with kids. I was at like the Eastern State Mental Hospital. If you can imagine, like one flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Yeah.
That was, awful place of, these people were just like institutionalized. And so I worked on the medical floor and, I was just like, wow, I just really have always felt a calling to healing and helping people and learning about the body and how it worked. And so, in high school, I was like, I'm going to medical school. And then, a longer story at some point we'll talk about is, I had this like adolescent rebellion. I didn't get to go to the college that I wanted to go to. And so I just scrapped medicine altogether, so a lot of lessons here, and so when I went to college, I had a marketing degree. I get out and I basically floundered, not good. I was struggling to find like what I wanted to do. This whole like marketing concept, was too broad. And, so I really struggled. I had an excellent adventurous time during my 20s, but really career wise, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I kept thinking about medicine again and, and how can I serve? How can I help people? And I just really had that calling. And so I started volunteering at a hospital and I got my EMT certification and started working in the emergency room and, to really see if I liked being around sick people for one, and to try to figure out if it was the right thing because I had to go back and take all the courses, all the pre-med stuff and working 2 and 3 jobs. And, so it wasn't ideal at all. But, I started medical school finally at age 30. And, 5 months after I got married, so to throw in that, complication,
just a little busy,
that lifestyle on top of it. And so, but, when I was in medical school, I really, I don't think any, physician today or, chiropractor or DO or any of those would be like, oh, I loved my medical training, but I really was kind of struggling with like, I'm not happy. I don't know what I want to do. And I think that it was like this nagging little piece of like, I was all about prevention and really living a healthy lifestyle. And to me, we had limited tools as a physician. It was like, let's work to get the diagnosis. And then we know the pill that goes with that. And I'm like, wow, that seems very limited. And I've always kind of been like this big thinker and problem solver. And, so I'm thinking like, that's it. I mean, it was kind of cool to like, save someone's life, if they came in, from a trauma or something, and, to actually like give them life-saving treatments. But the other parts of it, it was like, wow, this is it. And, what if it's not helping someone? That's, what do? We just send them on their way and say, sorry, we can't help you. And so, interestingly, I was involved in a study, 4 years in medical school. George Washington, where I went, had this complementary and alternative medicine department. So they didn't even have integrative medicine yet or anything. And so, and they were doing a study and wanted medical students to participate and find out really about all the modalities and the alternative, care world. And, we would do surveys but we got to participate in all these different activities. So, I mean, massage was one of them. So who wouldn't, sign up for that? But, so I got to try acupuncture and all these different things. Right. And so, the wheels are kind of turning the whole time. And so, I graduated from medical school with a 6-month-old on my hip. So I don't ever do anything the easy way, Dr. John.
Sounds like it.
So, but, I was older too. So, my husband and I were like, when are we going to, fit the baby in here? Because, I didn't want to wait till after residency, and I was 40 and, and worry about that. And we, so we talked about it a lot, but I ended up having a baby. I was like, this is like the best time. But looking back, it took its toll on my health. Not only my mental health, I think, I had like postpartum depression and I had migraines all the time. You had Erin Knight, I think.
Yeah.
I listened to that podcast and, and her treatment for migraines and, stress is like a huge factor in that. And, I had a lifetime of migraines. that ended after I had babies and after I cleaned up my diet.
Yeah.
And so, so it all comes around. So I graduate from medical school and go into radiology. And, I chose this field because I wanted kind of like this, you know, investigative problem solving. But, I really kind of struggled to pick a specialty in medical school. And so, what happened after that, I moved to do my internship in Florida, where I am still today. And, rough internship year with a baby, being on call every fourth night. My husband kept his job in the Northeast and traveled all the time. So, I was like, wow, this is a lot. And it was taking its toll on me. I literally was some days I'm like, I don't know if I can physically get myself out of bed.
Yeah.
And
It's so
so
busy.
I decided, okay, I think we're going to have to take a breather here and recoup. And they actually agreed to let me take a year off from residency. And so during that year, I was like getting myself back on my feet. I got to spend time with my daughter and get my marriage kind of back on track and everything. And so during that time, I got pregnant again. And so, that was like January, and I was supposed to go back to residency in July.
Mm.
So, of course, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to handle this yet, but I'm not telling them, until I absolutely have to. And because, medicine is supposed to be this wonderful, compassionate world, but it's still very much kind of like, a man's world of, thinking and, you have to prove that you're really strong and can withstand the pressure and everything. And so when I told them in June, because, there was no hiding it at that point, they were like, whoa, wait a minute. That's not going to work for us. They're like, you have to be on call, and that's going to interrupt the call schedule of, all the other residents and everything. And so basically they asked me to voluntarily resign.
Wow.
So, I even had to sign papers, that say I voluntarily give up, because they basically fired me for being pregnant. And so, I was just reeling at that point. It was very devastating. But I was like, here I was pregnant. I had a 2-year-old at home, so I was like, okay, maybe this is a good thing. Take not really kind of comprehending all that it meant, for oh my gosh, this is almost career suicide. So, I think the message there is sometimes you have to take a step back and take care of yourself first. And I think that was what kind of the wake up call was, is that, you've been running on empty for a long time, and, you're carrying a baby, you have another child. So, really self-compassion is a big thing that I talk to women about today, especially, professional women trying to juggle career and being a mom and all these different components. And so during that time, I decided, I got to get my health back on track. And so I started studying nutrition. I'm like, maybe there's something that, I'm eating that is not good for my body. And so, I just started reading and reading and reading and educating myself in nutrition. And so I'm like, wow, lo and behold, I was able to have energy, and I had no migraines anymore. And, I healed my depression, and, all these things. I was like, wow, this is just, I changed my diet, and I didn't do it drastically. I did it little bits by little bits, and learned more and implemented more, got back into my fitness routine. And then, it's just been an evolution. And so that's, one of my messages too for women and everyone is, you don't have to do it all overnight, but just take little steps every single day, because this is a lifetime, this is, a lifestyle. And so it's not just about getting into a certain size dress, in 2 months from now for the wedding, and then, not doing anything after that. This is really about the long haul and overall longevity and health. And so, somehow I don't even remember how I was introduced to this physician doing functional medicine here in Jacksonville, Florida, where I live. And there aren't that many functional medicine physicians. And so, I just called him out of the blue and I said, hey, like, what is this functional medicine stuff? I've never heard of it. And he was just like speaking my language. And so, I immersed myself in that and decided like, I wanted my career back and, I had been derailed like through the,
that
traditional,
system. Yeah.
traditional route. And I really, kind of felt betrayed by traditional medicine. And, but I was like, this is it. This is about prevention. This is about getting to the root cause, that investigative problem solving that I love to do. And so, long story longer here. It's just, it was just kind of like this aha moment of like, wow, this is what I've been really seeking and, called to do, is to really, take that look into like, really what's going on here and healing all the facets of your health.
That's pretty neat. So, I mean, thinking of that transition from traditional medicine was almost a gift.
It was.
An unintentional gift.
I mean, that's, at the time you don't see a lot of things, that was devastating, blow. And I had to go through, a lot of healing from it. But yeah, you look back, you're like, everything's a lesson. And I wish I kind of had been quicker to become aware of that maybe. But everybody has their own journey.
Oh, totally. I think that's really neat. So now, we're fast forward, we're practicing functional medicine. You're working with women, I'm sure, all over the world, and helping them with their lifestyle, right? We can say lifestyle here, not just their health, but their overall life. What are a lot of women seeking you out for? Like, is there a specific niche that they like, wow, I totally vibe with you on this, or there's a problem that they want you to help them solve?
Well, a lot of times, on a functional medicine kind of level, women will come to me with, I'm tired all the time and I want to lose weight. Those are kind of like the two big things that are like on their mind, especially as women are getting older, they've had their kids and then they're like, oh, what's happened to me? I don't like, this aging process. And so they have to reevaluate things. But really the women that I focus on are professional women. So, these are strong, intelligent, ambitious, motivated women that are doing so many things right already, but there's a missing piece. There's like one thing that's holding them back from breaking through to the next level. So whether that's in their career, or whether that's in relationships, whether that's in balancing, or, I call it more harmony. Balance kind of means like a steady state, which, on an EKG means like flat line, you're dead. But so I call it more of a harmony of like how to juggle
Mm-hmm.
career and being a mom and, the different aspects of your lifestyle and being able to thrive in that environment. And if it's your health goals, if you're not meeting your health goals and you feel like you're doing a lot of right things. So really it's about women, a one-on-one kind of lifestyle coaching that are looking for that missing piece.
Okay. So, and also you have your podcast, your new podcast, we should say, Raising Health, and with, having daughters, do you find that you're only attracting moms or, I say older, but not kids, or are you actually attracting children as well into your practice with this?
Well, I actually would like to kind of start branching out and speaking more to like teenage girls. And one of the reasons for that is I have two daughters. One's 14 and one's 11. And so, the whole idea behind this podcast, it's called Raising Health. And, I get fired up about things. I think that you should get fired up and, raise some hell, and get a little bit radical. If you want to see like transformational change, you've got to get serious about it. and get fired up. And so that's kind of, where the name came from, but it's really geared towards moms raising daughters. And so it's not just moms, but every woman is a daughter. And so, that's the idea. I have 2 daughters. I'm a daughter. All women are daughters. And it just hit me wow, really the example that you're setting unconsciously, consciously, the things that you're putting out there to your daughters affect, generation after generation of women. And because of my functional medicine and health background, and we talked about it at the beginning, really your health is at the core of that. And, but, health isn't just absence of disease,
Exactly.
or it's not just about what you eat. It's not just about if you're exercising. There's so many other facets. So that's what I kind of, take women through too. And, but the podcast has been so fun because I'm collaborating with these just brilliant women's health experts, everywhere. And so I love bringing tools, to other women and saying, hey, if my message doesn't resonate with you, it's not what you need, maybe someone else can provide that. So, it's been fun for me to, talk to all my peers and learn from them too. But, I'm hoping that their messages will help other women.
That's great. And also you, besides your podcast, you have this, I was researching and looking up things about you. You have this thing called the Wellness Wheelhouse.
Oh gosh. Uh-huh.
All right. Can you kind of talk on that a little bit? I know it's women specific, but can you talk on it?
Well, and it's not all women specific. There are components, and everything I do is geared towards that. It is geared towards women primarily because that's what I know best. But men need to be involved in this conversation too, right?
Of course.
And, but the Wellness Wheelhouse, so visualizing kind of like an old-fashioned wagon wheel. You are at the center of the wheel, and then you have the different spokes that make up the wheel. Mm-hmm. And, each one of those spokes is important to keep the wheel turning. And so those spokes or those different, aspects represent the different components of your health. And so, we talked about physical health,
of course,
which is your nutrition and your fitness and your sleep and kind of like your daily duties to, stay alive, kind of thinking about that. And but you have your mental health is one of the spokes. Mm-hmm. And so that's, your brain health, your mood, your memory. But it's also a lot of women suffer from depression and anxiety. And so addressing your mental health is a huge component of it. Emotional health, dealing with our belief systems, our self-limiting beliefs that are holding us back. And just, our feelings versus ego. Right. So our ego tries to keep you safe and dealing with feelings and things like that. And your belief system is more like being vulnerable. Right. It's scary sometimes to uncover those things. And, it could be like your relationship with food is holding you back. So they all interact. And so then we have your financial health. And I think this is really important for women. This means not only like your money story, and everybody has one of those of how you grew up thinking about money from your mom, your dad, society, and as a woman, it's a lot different sometimes than it is for a man. But also, in the career component, are you in a career where, you're making more than your husband and that creates this, tension in the relationship? Do you not, try to achieve your goals because, you're feeling like, wow, I, as a woman, I'm not supposed to do that. So there's the financial component of health is super important. Then there's your sexual health. So, sexual health under that umbrella is your hormones as a woman, and how that's kind of governing your life too, and coming to a harmony within that, but also owning your sexuality as a woman. Really defining that feminine, your sexual relationships with people. I think a lot of times women still have this very shame, kind of guilt driven, like we're not supposed to have pleasure and and it comes with body image, body shame, things like that. And so there's 6 of them. Did I mention all 6? Oh, and kind of like the icing, on the cake layer is your spiritual health.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, different for everybody. It's, connection to a higher power, however you would define that. But knowing that, I think all of us are, kind of question, like, why are we here? What's going to happen if we die? There's this questioning of like, what does it all mean? And is there, some higher power connection to that universe? And really, giving yourself permission to explore and develop that. I think that was, growing up in a rigid Catholic environment. I grew up thinking like religion for me was very judgmental. And, so I kind of said, hey, I don't want any of that, but then I realized I wasn't developing my spiritual side at all. And under spirituality too, it's kind of like, your connection with your community, with people around you. We're in this shared human experience and we need that connection and community. And so that really helps, develop your spiritual health as well.
Oh yeah.
And so, there's, each one of those, gosh, we could go into a lot of specifics, and I want to give all the listeners some gold nuggets at the end. So
okay, well, we'll get there. So here's a question about the wagon wheel, right, or the wheelhouse. Yeah. When you have that kind of picture drawn out, or when you're like, well, a client will work with it and give you this picture, and their wheels all sorts of out of alignment. Do you focus on the strengths, the weaknesses, or do you try to have them slowly start to balance a little bit first? I'm just curious because I kind of use a similar type of model myself with patients, with people I work with through my company here. And I'm just curious how you approach it, because I think it's so neat that we all have our ways and they all work, but I'm just curious.
I know. Well, and so it can be overwhelming, right? To think about this whole wheel and like, oh my gosh, I've got so many different areas. I don't know where to start. And so what I have found to be most helpful for women is really, what's on their mind. They come in with like, hey, I've got this issue. And so kind of saying, okay, how can we address that one issue? And kind of like the biggest mover of that. So I focus on, what they come in, super worried about. So if they're like, I can't lose weight. Okay. Well, functional medicine goes back to let's look at the gut, right? Let's look at nutrition. And so, a lot of times like, then you kind of branch out from there. So, but there's always room for improvement in someone's diet, I find, or
yes.
If it's people are really saying like, hey, I'm doing all the right things, then it's like, well, maybe, that coconut oil that you're eating or that chicken that you think is healthy is really creating some intolerance within the body. But maybe that means, you have leaky gut because you forgot about your history of antibiotics that you're constantly taking, or, so, and then hormones come into play. So you can see how it starts like spreading out into all the different spokes. But so I find that people are most motivated if you focus on what they really are wanting first. And, but they don't know that, they just need to eat less and exercise more, and so you help them uncover that. And, I think that that's an important message too, to, these busy, successful professional women, is that it's okay to get help. And it's important, professional athletes, they have coaches, they have a team of people, and they're very high level. They're the best in their game, and so, but they have a team that helps them get better. I mean, top executives, corporate executives, they have a team of people. They have coaches, they have business coaches, they have, so finding your support team that can help you break through to the next level.
That is so, so true. We all, look at ourselves like, well, I don't really need help. I'm doing all right. But then you look at the people that are their best in their field, or whether it's acting or, like you said, an athlete or a CEO of a company, they all have not just their team underneath them helping them, but they actually have, like you said, coaches and people that are, wanting to help them get like that extra cog, turned, or that extra spoke to, right?
Right.
It's so
that
neat.
Missing little ingredient, that's going to make all the difference.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I guess that's a mindset game for most of us, the way we're trained that, we want to be so independent. Boy, that can actually hurt us a little bit down the road and slow us down versus just, adding a little bit may make a huge difference. So.
Right. I mean, high achievers, we're used to like doing it all on our own and, doing pretty well at it, and so sometimes it's hard to say like, hey, I might need some help here. And, especially moms too, juggling kids and career and all of that. And it's like, you're just going to be this empty bucket walking around trying to do everything for everyone if you're not willing to ask for help and, have some self-care time and to do all those things that you are trying to do. So yeah, getting a support team is key.
It's so key. And I want to just kind of touch on this a little bit because we kind of hit part of it, but you talk about in health, self-love being super important. And I don't know if we kind of just covered that a little bit, but is there anything you can dive in a little bit deeper?
Well, I mean, I think that really when you break it all down, all these different aspects of your health and everything, it all stems from this inner work that, this inside of us, like our belief about ourselves. And do we love ourselves enough? And we all say, oh yeah, I love myself. Or, some people might love themselves a little too much, but really, it's not about, being cocky or anything like that. It's really about saying, hey, I'm giving myself permission to explore these different areas, to be vulnerable, to say I need some help, to say, say what's on my mind. And so I think that, if your health is suffering, then really it's an inside job. You need to take a look and say, wow, am I loving myself enough, to work on these different areas, and so I find that women, they're always doing for everyone else. It's just kind of our nurturing habit. And also, we use that as like distractions of being busy and, let's not look at ourselves because, we've got too many things to do. And it's really a distraction of not really looking inward. And so I think that really, to me, is the core. And so it kind of runs through, it's the thread that runs through your wellness wheelhouse, your health, your life.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like a big, you got to start to learn who you really are. And
right.
And your why, I guess, is such a big part of just the lifestyle puzzle or the wheel, if you will, that we all need to really figure out.
Yeah. And it's an unlayering process. So most people are like, if I just go, hey, we're going to talk about self-love, they're like, oh, what do you mean? So, but if I start talking about like, well, you're not achieving your career goals, your relationship goals, your health goals, and, what does that mean? And kind of just unlayering that process. But really self-love, I think, is at the core of that.
Well, so then let's go here, since we've kind of gone very wide, which I think is really great because it'll give us opportunities to go deep into different areas depending on what some of the listeners are commenting on as we go. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead? I like to get my gold nuggets, as you know, of information, but I want people taking action steps today, not tomorrow, today, for their lifestyle. So what do you got for us, Dr. Jen?
Okay, well, I kind of mentioned this. So number one, you really have to decide. Get radical about it. Decide. Not I want, I wish, I hope, I'd like. No, decide today and commit. Pick one area, pick one thing. I'm going to drink more water this week. Make baby steps, but decide. decide, and then, because your brain recognizes that, right? Your brain is like, aha, we made a decision. How are we going to make that happen? And so deciding is the first thing. And then this might be a couple gold nuggets here, but is I find the most beneficial thing is to have control the bookends of your day, I call it. So having routines in the morning, when you wake up and before you go to bed at night, to help you mold your day into the right way. So, I kind of look at it, I go the bedtime routine first, because I think that when you set up yourself for success into the next day, that this is super important. So what I mean by that is, great sleep hygiene, right? Be the example to your kids. Get off your technology. If you have to be on there, you can wear your, blue light blockers, but try to get off your technology, your phone, your computer, all those things an hour and a half before you go to bed. Spend some time, with your kids, read them a book, read them a story. And so setting that up, what else? Just kind of, I do this sometimes in my head, sometimes I write it down, is integrating your small wins that day. I think that high achievers too are constantly like, they don't say, oh, that was a good job. They're like, oh, that'll be a good job when I, get over here. So that's been a huge help to me, is to say, hey, you know what? I actually had a busy day, but I got dinner on the table. Oh, I didn't react to my daughter when she, did that thing she always does to like set me off, just any little win. I got to the gym today. I gave a great presentation, really giving yourself that like appreciation and integrating your wins, and think about like, things that you're grateful for. So just kind of, don't go to bed mad. We've heard that. It's like, go to bed in the right frame of mind, and make sure you're going to bed at a decent time. Getting enough sleep, because that's super important for so many aspects of your health.
Oh, totally.
Then you wake up in the morning, right? And you actually, you can lay there in bed, you can get your journal out, you can meditate, you can do some stretching, have like 5-minute routine at least in the morning. Pick one thing that you like to do. Like this morning, oh my gosh, perfect example. I'm like, I wake up and, it's cold here for us in Florida, like 45 degrees. And, so I'm like, I'm laying there. I'm like, I'm really comfortable and cozy and warm in my bed. And instead of going, I have to get up and get the girls to school and all of that, I laid there and I was like, oh, I feel so good. I'm warm. And then I was like, I'm so appreciative of that. And I started thinking about our interview and like, oh yeah, it's going to go really well. And I can't wait to talk to him. And like, so kind of, visualize your day going how you would love it to go. That's super helpful. So, because like this morning, I'm like all in a happy state, right? And I made my daughter a smoothie for breakfast, my 11-year-old. And so she's, we get in the car to go to school. 30 seconds later, she's wearing the smoothie.
Oh God.
on her uniform, and I was like, oh my gosh. And, we're always in like a rush to get there. We have no extra time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, and I really like thought about like, holy cow, like, I may have a blow up. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not gonna ruin my mood here. It's like she does things like this all the time. So I'm telling myself, well, yeah, this is typical. And so we just pull in and, pull back in and have to go inside and change. And so you never know like what's going to happen during your day. So if you're really controlling those bookends, then your day will unfold much smoother.
I like that one.
And so that, that really is something that you can start doing immediately. And, another thing that I like to do is have tools in my toolkit and my armamentarium of, for stress relief during the day. And so that could be something as simple as if you're at the computer all day long, every hour, standing up, taking a little break. Yawning is like a really good thing to kind of like reset your brain, People are like, oh, she's bored, she's yawning, but it actually like kind of reboots the brain and helps you refocus. And, but standing up, we're too sedentary, stretching during the day. But another good thing to do, and you can do this while driving, sitting there in your chair, wherever you are, is breathing. We all forget to breathe. We're like taking these shallow breaths. We've got, this kind of breathing going on our shoulder. It's not this deep belly diaphragmatic breathing that really slows down the stress response, stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. So, just taking 5 breaths, that are really deep belly breaths is a great way to reboot, and use that all the time. You find yourself in the car, like, traffic jam and getting like tense and everything, I'll just start breathing, and like, and I'm like, okay, this is a good thing. So you have to have little tools, that don't take a lot of time. They don't have to sit down and feel like you have to meditate for hours. But those things all make a difference. So little things make a difference in the long term.
So we got decide and commit, the bookends of the day, and having small tools to combat stressors that may show up during that day. I have it down pretty much a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Jen, that was a great conversation. So we're going to end here because we're going to have more to talk about, I think, if you think so. Yeah, right?
We can dive into each area.
Exactly. We can kind of jump in. So I want to thank you so much. I think that the guests got a ton of value. We are actually going to give away, I'm not giving anything away. You are giving away a really cool freebie. It's called the Moms Raising Daughters Blueprint. You can go, I'll give you the link. Well, I'm not going to read it now, but we're going to have the link in the show notes. Make sure you definitely go ahead and download that, read it, and you'll be able to connect with her via social media. We won't give out any personal information, but but we'll be able to actually have you connect
single.
with her. No. Well, then maybe I'll give out a phone number. I'm just kidding. But we definitely want to make sure you do connect with her because she's a wealth of information in the lifestyle world, which we absolutely love here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here.
Locker Nation, how awesome was Dr. Jen? I hope you have some good takeaways from that one. I did. And I want to make sure those that want, get that Moms Raising Daughters Blueprint. And if you find value in this, you know what? Have someone else listen to it that might want to get the download, that might want to learn and get some of this information from Dr. Jen. She's easy to connect with. We have all her contact info in the show notes. You can head over to lifestylelocker.com/Jen Cronin. And you'll get all the details there, or if you're listening on your device, no matter what app, well, I shouldn't say that, but iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and is it iHeartRadio, I believe we have content on all of those. So it'll be in the show notes. Find all those details there. Get the freebies. And on another note, we're super excited to be launching our 30-day Human Potential Program. For a limited time, it's going to be at a reduced fee of $67, valued in the hundreds, close to 600 actually, maybe a little more. So jump in on that if you want to have a self-guided, accountable 30-day Human Potential Program. My goodness, this thing is kick-ass. I'm so excited to release it. It's been in the works for a long time, so we look forward to getting that out to you. There will be links also in the show notes as well. So until next time, Locker Nation, connect with us, connect with Dr. Jen, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.